Hail, hail, the Celts are here, and what the hell do we care anyway, guys? We've just been out and rotated half the squad and still absolutely demolished Ross County by 5 goals to 0. I think we've all seen the writing on the wall for this game that we were going to see a lot of changes, wholesale changes in the squad to rotate, bring some of the second string guys in to give them their audition opportunity. Can you break into the first team? But after we've seen the Dundee game and the Falkirk game earlier this season where Rodgers did ring in the changes, and those games were a little bit stickier, they're a little bit tougher. His post-match comments after those games, it maybe put a wee bit of caution to the wind in terms of how many changes we might have seen, because he spoke previously about how it kind of broke up the chemistry, the synergy in the starting 11, and it really was the bench that came on to save the game for those matches, certainly. But in this game, we didn't see any of that. We rang in massive changes. I think there was like 6 in total, and I think it's safe to say we got the desired effect. This was a real great Celtic performance, unlike one that we've seen for maybe about a month, maybe 3 or 4 weeks or so. High energy, lots of goals, lots of different goal scorers, and really when you were looking at the bench, it was anyone's best guess for who would actually come into the fray, who would actually come into the match. But ultimately, because the second string guys, as it were, for lack of a better term, did so well in this game, there is now huge question marks on the next couple of fixtures leading up to important Champions League games, cup finals, as well as continuing the dominance in the league. In the video today, we're going to look at the player ratings from the match, what we've seen unfold against Ross County, as well as what it's maybe pointing towards we might see against Aberdeen, Hibs, and etc. etc. at any point in the video today. If you do laugh, you learn, you like something or whatever, please like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. We recently smashed through 10,000 subscribers and we're now hotly on the heels of 18,888, I think is the target now, and we can't do that without your support. So if you do enjoy the content here, like and subscribe, share it with your pals, send it into WhatsApp groups and all that good stuff as well. The comment sections on these games are always on fire because we've seen some players really step out of the shadows into the light. I want to hear, it's probably going to be Luke McCowan for a lot of these, but did anyone change your opinion on them, or do you think anyone's done enough to upset the natural order of the best 11 as we've seen it in recent weeks? And yeah, look forward to catching the comment section on this one as always, and let's just get stuck right into it. Now, I've got to say, first and foremost, we're going to give ourselves a huge pat on the back here on the channel. We do a live stream every Thursday, the Celtic Supporters Club, where we look to, put ourselves in the shoes of the manager and try and pick the team for the weekend. And the only one that we got wrong on the stream was Forrest for Kuhn. I thought if Kuhn was fully fit, you're going to keep your informed forward playing. You want to keep those reps up. You want to keep those stats going up, and you want to keep the confidence growing. But, giving him a rest, I don't think there's anything lost in this. If anything, we only really gained by getting more minutes into the legs of Dyson and Forrest. Obviously, Dyson comes off at halftime for Yang, which is good for Yang to get some minutes on this side of the pitch as well. But otherwise, a lot of these changes, the writing was on the wall for them all. I did feel that Vickers was not going to be rotated or rested for this one, despite the fact that we don't often see him, really chalk up lots of 90 minutes in, recent history over the last couple of months. But after that OG, despite it being probably like minute management, if he did miss out in this match, the optics of scoring an OG and then being like taken out, the team dropped for the weekend, it just doesn't do anyone any favours. So I thought that Vickers was going to start this one and he did fantastic. But this game 100% had Scales' name written all over it in terms of the rotation and maybe bringing some of the fringe players, or newly fringe players in Scales' case, back into the starting 11. And I must say, Scales and Vickers as a partnership looked probably as good as it's ever looked in recent months and weeks because of the understanding that they have between them. A big complaint that I had on the Celtic defence against Bruges was it really between Vickers and Trusty. None of them really wanted the ball first half. They were, and we were really pedestrian at trying to get the ball out of, our defensive half. I know Bruges were quite deep in their own half for spells, but Trusty didn't want to carry the ball over the halfway line, didn't want to make any incisive passes. Vickers can't do those things, but we kept putting him on the ball and asking him to do it, and, it was quite awkward. I'm not going to beat a dead horse. You've all seen the game. We've spoke about it on the channel already. But what Scales brought in this game was everything we were missing. Scales is very confident, like, give me the ball, I'll charge up 10, 15 yards. And Scales is really happy to pass to anyone. He's really happy to pass in between the lines. He's really happy to break the lines. And I suppose to kind of take the goals out of order. If you see Luke McCowan's goal, Scales plays those passes 1, 2, 3 times a game, normally for Kyogo, and they don't always come off. Very rarely they do, in fact. But he's got a range of passing to him, formerly being a left back, that Vickers doesn't have, and Trusty hasn't shown for me at this point. Trusty's probably much better at really quick 1-2 touch stuff if it is in tight spaces in dangerous zones of the pitch. Don't get me wrong, I definitely think he has some passing attributes over Scales, but I just really thought Obviously, he gets the goal skills as well from the corner, which, Vickers has scored from a corner, I think, this season. He's not really a prolific goal-scoring centre-back, and we've not really seen that yet from Trusty really either. So I really did feel that Scales gave us a lot back into defence that we have been missing. Although we do gain something with the Trusty-Vickers partnership, it has looked really slick and really well balanced, but the understanding that Scales has with Vickers is like entrenched. They've actually played significant periods of time together. And I think now picking the centre-backs is the hardest job for Brendan Rodgers, because I really genuinely think on merit right now, for Aberdeen on Wednesday, and we'll talk about Aberdeen in the next video on the channel, I can see Vickers missing it. I can see Scales getting back in here and really owning that jersey on the left-hand side, because he is big and brave. He doesn't mind going up, and aerially, I don't think anyone is as good as Scales offensively or defensively. He doesn't always recover possession, but if balls are coming in, he'll clear it for a throw-in, he'll clear it for a corner, he will try and just shell it back up the pitch. And he's a real no-nonsense defender. He's got multiple Champions League Man of the Match awards, and I think you've really seen a great, don't want to say audition, but, he's really reminding the manager, as well as all of us, that he very much does add something into the defence that Vickers doesn't bring. And Trusty, Trusty's been improving and getting better and all the rest of it. I definitely think he's a Celtic-level centre-back from what we've seen, but really the three centre-backs now, for me, is almost impossible to pick if they're all fully fit and firing. The main thing that we get from Vickers, of course, is he is just the fridge. He's just the man mountain, will not be moved. In 1v1s, no one gets round him. He just doesn't really flap. Cool customer that he is. Composure, 10 out of 10. But pace, passing, heading, aerial threat and stuff like that, Scales and Trusty have got something on them there. So that's maybe something to watch out for. We might see a bit of an evolution there in the centre-back role. In defence, Valley came into this game, and I don't think that was much of a surprise either. And I think we're still a little bit in the dark for what the standing is for the left-back situation. We've seen Taylor come back in, and Brendan's comments have been, we want to sign Taylor, we want to renew his contract. It gives us something a little bit more safer and securer in possession than Valley. But as you can clearly see from when Valley came on against Bruges and in this game, he is just a firecracker. He's just around everywhere. He's just got intent. He moves forward all the time, and he busts a gut. He really does get in all areas of the pitch, and he had a great performance. And really, between Taylor and Valley, it is real knife-edge stuff. It's really horses for courses, really, more than who's better or worse in this situation. And for a fullback position, I think that's a great spot to be in. Valley had a decent enough game in this one, and definitely didn't do his chances any harm of featuring more regularly over this ultra-marathon period that we're in. Alistair Johnson retained his spot in this game, gets subbed off eventually for Ralston, which I don't think was a huge surprise. Some people did think Ralston might have been in the reckoning to start this one, just to give Johnson, who's just been on international duty, a little bit of relief and all the rest of it. But I think that was managed quite well, bringing Ralston on halfway through the game for Alistair Johnson. But where I think the majority of Celtic fans' attention, and I say I think, I'm pretty certain, if it was focused on this game, is also where a lot of my attention is normally focused on this channel, and it's in midfield. Now, we did expect that Bernardo was going to come in for Arne Engels, and really there was a bit of a coin toss. Would the manager keep Hatate in the deep end, like we've seen happen so often in his Celtic career, or does he bring McCowan back in to really put the fire under his bum, someone who's really pushing to take that jersey off him and really just give us, a renewed vigour in this position? The midfield dynamic did change a little bit, and there's a few things when you're comparing the results and the performance that we got in this game that isn't totally fair or equal, right? Because this is against Ross County, right? This is not against Bruges, Aberdeen, Hearts, even somebody like St Mirren or Motherwell, who are quite plucky and, really do give us something, because I don't think Ross County got a shot on goal. I don't remember Kasper Schmeichel doing anything at all. We really had our way with them for the full 90 minutes. But that to one side, the midfield dynamic was totally different in the Bruges game and some of the matches recently. We have the normal kind of pitched out midfield. We try and stretch them apart and try and, make triangles in the wide areas and all the rest of it. But Bernardo was much closer to McGregor in this one. And again, it's a bit of a throwback to the shape that we've seen sporadically used in some matches where Bernardo is a bit deeper. Sometimes it's been Engels as well when he's eventually came on. And it really allowed McCowan to be in full Hatate mode. He could pop up in these areas and be effective. He was mostly found on the right-hand side of midfield and then playing the balls inside here. But his energy, his ability to get in between the lines coupled with Bernardo being hyper motivated in this game to really make the game his and push Arne Engels out of the team maybe for the next couple of matches and really prove to Celtic supporters and, you know, everyone else watching, you know, that he is a valuable first team player, not just a rotation player, not just an impact player off the bench. And again, I thought he did really, really well. But it's very clear that when we have the midfield in this type of dynamic, we get much more out of the captain, McGregor. If we get McCowan or Hatate like fully energised and ready to cook, we get a great dynamic supporting our front three here, and that allows us some fantastic options to go on and support, because Bernardo doesn't mind keeping up with play and being on the edge of things to maybe arrive in the box late, shoot from the edge of the box, that kind of thing, similar to McGregor. So if we've got two players kind of returning to the edge of the attack when we're camping the opposition in, we've just got more options, and you can see like all three of the midfielders scored in this game. McCowan gets the man of the match, of course, with his 3 assists. One of them, the one from McGregor's also a little bit spawny, a little bit stat paddy, as it were. But it is what it is, and I think it's so undeniable that this is the way the midfield should be constructed, should be built, really, no matter who is playing in it. And I think Rodgers is slowly coming to that realisation, that slow kind of evolution of the midfield dynamic over the last kind of month or so, and maybe this game just puts it into sharper focus that this is the way the game needs to be played. And we've often joked on this channel that Brendan Rodgers is a subscriber and is getting into the comment section, and his comments about Bernardo after the game saying that like some people didn't think he was up to it and he's really showing people wrong. When I heard that, I listened to a lot of Celtic fan media, and I don't really know anyone that really puts any shade on Bernardo. Every Celtic fan media outlet I listen to really does love Bernardo, always has, was always wanted to sign him and all the rest of it. And I think it's really us here at Celtic here that have maybe questioned his role, his, you know, his ability to really add in, because again, we're thinking about the O'Reilly prototype, the profile of the different three midfielders that we've had in recent years, and he certainly doesn't fit that. I think we can all see that now, and that's been our main problem. That's been our main kind of point of contention when it comes to Bernardo and Arne Engels as well. So, you know, when I heard that, I thought, yeah, I think this will be a bit of confirmation that Brendan is a Celtic here subscriber, and I think he loves it. He definitely likes, subscribes, shares and retweets every video. You can just feel it amongst the Celtic staff. Now, we weren't just able to rest and rotate a bunch of the players from the starting 11, but, you know, Alistair Johnson, McGregor, Dyson, all these guys get subbed off really early in the match to try and, you know, just conserve some of their energy ahead of some big fixtures up and coming. But Engels coming on for McGregor in this one for me was a huge nod to the fact that, you know, I think I don't want to say given up, so I don't know if that's quite the right expression, but certainly it's folly to try and force Engels into being this attacking forward. Like when we did the Engels video on the channel a week or two ago, we were talking about the role he's played for Belgium, some of the glimpses of what we've seen at Celtic, and maybe statistically what we've seen at Augsburg in little periods, and kind of likened him a little bit to John McGinn in terms of the potential he's got in this forward kind of destroyer role, where he is like a defensive midfielder, but he's in the offensive half, if that makes sense. And it feels like, yeah, they've maybe given up on trying to force that for now. And when you see him coming in for McGregor, he didn't really do much in this game, to be quite honest with you, but you really did feel that there was a big power shift in midfield when Engels came on. Bernardo was allowed to go a little bit further forward, but you could quite quickly see that he looked in his natural habitat. You know, he's sitting in front of the back four, he's getting the ball, making 1-2 touch plays, moving the ball from left to right, very similar to what McGregor does, if we're being honest. And, you know, like, maybe this is something we need to watch out for. We might see this double pivot type of situation, two centre midfielders side by side, shoulder to shoulder in the midfield, whether it be Engels and Bernardo like we've seen for a small period in this match, or for like the majority of this game like we've seen Bernardo and McGregor. And I think this, you know, with the base midfield, the way it was structured and being against Ross County, we really got to see everything that Luke McCowan offers. He was so busy, so energetic, and again, similar to Bernardo, these guys came in fully hyper motivated to really stake their claim for the shirt, for the jersey, to stay in the first team. And really, like, what we got from McCowan in this game, we don't get from Hatate often enough, where he's in these nice deep positions, and some of the balls he was sliding down the channel in here for Dyson Maeda, obviously earlier in the match before Yangan comes on here, and getting himself into the box and everything else, like his energy was just top notch. And again, I'm trying to marry this up with how do we get the best midfield combination sorted? How do we actually maximise, you know, this is against Ross County, I can't say that enough, against bigger, better, more powerful teams. And it feels like McCowan got a good bit of licence to roam in this game because of, you know, really the strength and the quality from everyone behind him. It just gave him all that freedom to pop up in the pockets and, you know, McCowan just did not put a foot wrong. Last year on the channel, whenever we played Dundee, we were always calling Luke McCowan the Scottish Hatate. And really, like, Hatate must have been watching this game and seeing McCowan's influence on the game and thinking, how am I not doing that against Ross Counties and St Johnstons, and we've got Hibs coming up, but Hearts, we played them not too long ago, and they're rank bottom of the division, So I really do think that McCowan has made that shirt his own after this game, but I think, we'll see in the coming matches, we'll speak about them as we get to them, but McCowan for me he's every bit a Celtic player, especially domestically. Now, like I can't say this enough, it's against Ross County, right? So the test against your Bruges, your Zagrebs, your Young Boys or whatever, I don't think this really does like paint McCowan into the fold as like, yeah, let's play McCowan in those games yet. There's still some tests to come, and if he passes them, I could very quickly see Bernardo and Engels isn't too far off of the same situation we've got with the centre backs we were just chatting about. And if McCowan can keep up these performances over the next 2 or 3 matches from the bench from the start, like really the whole team is so hard to pick every week, with the exception of the goalkeeper, the right back, and probably Kuhn. The rest of the team is really, really up for grabs here. And I think really like a big part of what made this work, especially for Bernardo and McCowan, is Brendan's squad management and how he has given them minutes, he's given them spells in the game. McCowan started a few games and done well. His stats are through the roof if you look at per minute and per match, etc. But he has been very careful in selecting his moments. He's stuck with his best 11 for the most part. And if you've got a really motivated team of like proper professionals, like guys like Bernardo and McCowan are in, not quite prime years, but they're not too far away from it. And if you've got guys that don't carry the petted lip, they don't, get a bit pissed off because they've not played in 3 games or they're not getting enough minutes off the bench, this is the sort of energy, this is the sort of tempo that we can bring into every match, no matter really who is starting it. And I thought McCowan was very easily man of the match in this one. Rewind back to Bruges and 1 or 2 other matches. Man of the match has been quite hard to pick. It's normally going towards the match winner, the goal scorer, that kind of thing. But McCowan, even if he didn't get goals and assists in this game, he would have been man of the match because he was absolutely everywhere. He was tackling everyone, he was passing to everyone, and he was just really the difference ultimately. And I know the goals were quite spread out, but I think without McCowan, if it was a Hatate in this team from the start, I'm not too sure we would have been as convincing first half. I'm sure we would have still, got Scales' goal from the corner. Adam Idah would have probably still picked a goal out for himself. But outside of that, like McCowan was at the centre of so much, whether it be the runs he was making to take someone out of the picture, or whether he was actually dictating the play and actually been on the ball himself. And I thought when Hatate came on, I was really hoping he was going to come on and have a real fire under his backside and really try and get himself on the score sheet, make an assist and all the rest of it. And, I'm not saying he didn't try, but I didn't see that top end kind of spark, like, yeah, let me get on. McCowan's just got 3 assists and a goal. That should have been me. Get me on the pitch. I need goals. I need assists. I need to get going. And I was rather disappointed from what we got from Hatate off the bench. Also, there was no goals in the second half. And really, big Adam Idah, and I've got to say, we were so close. In my score prediction for this game, I had us to win 6-0. I thought Idah was going to get a hat-trick. I had a set-piece getting scored. I had did I have a set-piece, actually? I had Idah for a hat-trick. I had a winger to score. Yeah, set piece, and then a random midfielder to get a goal. So we got the set piece. Idah really could have had a hat-trick, especially go back and check out the highlights. Second half, headers off the bar and post, shots and at a tight angle and stuff like this. Idah looked so invigorated in this game. Like, I'm getting 90 minutes. Felt like he maybe knew that in the match because the 5th sub we got was Valley for Taylor. And psychologically, that maybe made a bit of a difference to Idah because normally the forwards both kind of know they're either getting 60, 70 or 20, 30 minutes in matches. And Idah really went the full hog in this match, ran for everything, got lots of shots away and did so much of, and I know they're different types of players, kinda, right? But Kyogo has not give us a performance like that against a Ross County type or whatever very often, if ever, this season. So really all across the pitch as I'm leaving this game, and I say we're not really going to be talking too much about passages of play, it's more about the squad dynamic, because for me, Scales, Bernardo, McCowan, Idah, all 4 of those guys have given the manager huge problems for the upcoming matches. But it's not a bad problem. It's not like anyone's going to be spitting the dummy out and be disappointed if they're dropped for the next game or unselected for the next game, returned to the bench, however you want to say it. Because in this current climate, you need 15, 16 players that are all pushing into different positions, all best 11 calibre, and this is something we've been crying out for from the transfer policy. And having like a £6 million defender not get on the pitch, your record signing hang about on the bench for the majority of this game, drop your best forwards this year, Nicholas Kuhn, and not even give Kyogo, who's been the talisman for the last number of years, a minute at all. This was a real resounding, great squad club kind of victory, as it were. And I know it was against Ross County, but this is the sort of matches that you build this squad for. Ideally, if the levels move up, high enough, we should be able to do this against bigger opponents where we are very similar to the left back thing we were just chatting about. We're just picking horses for courses, where we're thinking, right, well, in this game, we want to play, and I can't imagine it ever being Engels, Bernardo and McGregor, for example, right? But we need a bit more muscle in midfield. Can we make a bit of a different change to that? We need a bit more energy. Can we do this? Or, the strikers, do we go with the big man? Do we go with Kyogo and pair him with Dyson and Rio and really get the mega press on? Or do we play the likes of McCowan and Idah and just be really direct, straight down the pipe, straight down the channel, and just get plenty of shots away? And I know Brendan's coming in for some flack after the game because we've spent 25 million in the summer and all the rest of it. But the guys that came into this team, Idah obviously cost us a fair few quid. Schmeichel was a freebie. Bernardo didn't cost us very much. He was on loan last year. And McCowan, who started this game, again, cost like £1 million or whatever. It's not like we played the full strength team for the full 90 minutes and hammered them 5-0 first half and then couldn't do anything second half. The second half was kind of a glorified training exercise where I really do feel that seeing like Bernardo and Engels with Hatate in front, like this is something I can never see McGregor being dropped. Don't get me wrong here, but maybe it's if he's injured, suspended kind of thing where you're getting some opportunity to just test out some different bits and pieces in the team really and just see how it shakes out. Different tactics, different styles, that sort of thing. Yang, despite getting 45 minutes or so here, had like one moment in the match. I thought he was rather anonymous. Maybe the ball just didn't come down that side of the pitch too often for him. But it was really all down the centre. And this was one of the big things coming out of Bruges that I was saying, like, we just could not control the centre ground at all. And this was the name of the game in this match. The centre ground was firmly controlled, and then we were just sliding balls down channels, plinging balls into the box from deep, from the likes of Scales and all the rest of it, winning corners, winning free kicks in dangerous areas, and making the most of it. And when we come to look at the match ratings out of 100 for this game, there's clearly only going to be one guy that's the top performer here with a 100 out of 100 score. If it could go over the cap, he would have scored 117 out of 100. 1 goal and 3 assists for Luke McCowan. He was fouled 4 times, which is a very important thing for this kind of press-happy, box-to-box, attacking midfielder type player that we've got, McCowan or Hatate typically. He's won 2 tackles, which was brilliant. He did lose 9 duels here, but he did win 5, so I think that's overall a net positive. He's won a significant amount. Only 7 missed passes, 48 accurate passes. Exactly half of his passes are in the final third, which is glorious to see for this sort of attack-based player. It's not that he's dropping deep and getting easy passes. He's actually in the final third, penetrating the defence, getting the ball into the box. He's ended this match with 5 attempted assists. McCowan was actually taking the right-hand sided corners, so he's swinging with his left foot for an in-swinging corner. And we've seen Bernardo take the left-hand corners to in-swing with the right. So we get 5 attempted assists, 11 penalty area entries, 2 big chances created, his 1 shot on target, which was obviously his goal. An absolutely stellar performance from him, one of his best games of his career, I dare say. And really, how do you drop a guy like that? Similar could be said for Paulo Bernardo, who finished on a clean 80 out of 100 in this game. He got his goal, of course. He did miss a big chance. I was at the game. Thanks again to our friends Axom, who sorted me out with some tickets for this game, which was great. Got to take the wee man to it, which was always good fun. But I did miss Bernardo's BCM, his big chance missed. But 11 balls into the box. Again, he took some corners, 4 attempted assists, a big chance created, 1 shot on target for his goal. He's won 4 duels, having lost 2, 42 accurate passes, 15 of them in the final third. He's missed 6 passes throughout the match, 1 tackle. And again, like, even though he's like more of a defensive-based midfielder, this type of game, Ross County did nothing. There wasn't really too much defensive work to be done. But it's really interesting to see, actually, that McCowan, 1 more tackles, 1 more duels than Bernardo did here. He really was the Swiss Army knife for the team, McCowan. He absolutely went everywhere, done everything. But we've also got Liam Scales here, bringing in a massive 122.7, it would be, out of 100. He gets his goal, he gets his assist, and like I mentioned before, there was a man mountain. Clean sheet bonus here for the defender, 3 effective clearances, 9 duels won, having only lost 4. His interception, 145 accurate passes. He has missed 10 of them. Some of them will be ineffective clearances, but it's been out for a shy or whatever, went out for a throw-in. Maybe it's been a long ball, it bobbles through and becomes a goal kick, that sort of thing. 20 long passes into the opposition, 24 accurate final third balls. Again, Scales was just everything to anyone as far as a centre-back goes in this game. One shot on target for his goal, 3 balls into the box with, some of these long diags that he was kind of slicing up. And for me, Scales is a real quiet winner in this game, because if you're Brendan Rodgers, if you're the manager, very similar to McCowan, how do you drop him? Because no centre-back has given us what he gave us in this match. The test now becomes, can he produce... Because Scales, what you need to always remember with football is that players get better, and we've seen this with Taylor over the last couple of years, and there's still the big question mark over, can he make that final step, to being Champions League capable, calibre, whatever. But with Scales, he's continually made improvements season on season. He's just scored for his international team, for Ireland, of course. He's scoring goals for us now all of a sudden, which wasn't really part of his game last year. And he's not been like in the deep end this year, where the last year and a half or whatever, Scales has played every game, basically. He's played with an obscene amount of different centre-back partners as well. And, he's had a few games off, and he's come into this one fully capable of showing everything that he has to offer. So for me, Scales is a bit of a quiet winner in this one. We then come on to Carter Vickers, who brought in a 78.5 out of 100. 1 tackle, 1 for the big man. 6 duels, 1-0 lost. The fridge. No one gets by him. If he's on the ball, the man mountain will not be moved. 108 accurate passes for him. 25 of them long balls into the opposition, which does surprise me. 9 missed passes and no attacking output. I dare say for a lot of Carter Vickers' long passes into the opposition, it would be something a bit more like this type of pass, where maybe the right back or the centre mid that he's going to play to, distance-wise, is a long pass, rather than it being one of these Scales-type balls, where it is really a long ball down the line for a Dyson, over the top for an Idah or McCowan, that kind of thing. Alex Valley, great performance here, 63 out of 100. He also had a big chance missed, 6 balls into the box, 2 shots on target for the wee man, an interception, 5 duels won, 83 accurate passes for a fullback. That's phenomenal. 19 possession loss, 13 missed passes. You kind of expect that in the wide areas. 2 tackles, 1 blocked across, got an effective clearance in, and obviously his clean sheet bonus there. Adam Idah, 3 shots on target, 2-1 contests. 1 big chance missed is maybe a little bit harsh, but I suppose it's hard to argue against. He probably should have got more goals in this game. And again, we don't see significant numbers from the strikers, but 12 passes, much more than McKeogo gets generally. 4 duels won, 4 duels lost, so kind of negative net 0. And then from the bench, the only one I'm interested in looking at here because of the score is Arne Engels, who got a 45 in 29 minutes of play. He got fouled once, didn't make any defensive contributions, made an interception, won a duel, 20 accurate passes, 6 of them went into the final third, and he missed 3 passes overall. 6 balls into the box, 1 attempted assist. So again, I felt like he just felt a bit more comfortable in that kind of deeper role here that McGregor had vacated. McGregor, no tackles, no interceptions, only 1 duel won and lost, 38 passes. He didn't play much, 61 minutes or whatever, but again, quite interesting to see that out of all the defenders, McCowan is actually the one that's pulled the most weight defensively as well as offensively. So again, the next video on the channel will be looking at the Aberdeen game, trying to do the predicted 11. We've also got Celtic B versus Club Bruges B, or Club Next as they're called. The kind of vlog video that we've had from the Youth Champions League, that'll be out on the channel over the next couple of days. On screen and now some other stuff that we've made that the YouTube thinks you might enjoy. Don't forget to jump into the comment section in this one and let us know what your thoughts and feelings are on the game, and thoughts and feelings ahead of the Aberdeen match. Hail, hail, and I'll catch you on the next one.